Good morning, good afternoon. We'll be starting in about 2 minutes. So if you are on a recording and you're watching this, you can fast forward a minute or two. Otherwise, enjoy the soothing ambience of absolute silence. That is great. I'm going to be going over your test today. So for the few of you that are in, hello, Alora. Nice to see you. Uh, you should have your test with you. I gave you a test last week. We did not have a class for a week so that I could give you lots of time to get it done. So make sure you have your test with you. We'll start going over the marking scheme for this in just a few minutes. Just a few minutes, we will get started. Have your test with you. The test I gave you last week, we're marking it today. That lovely sound you hear is me putting dishes away while I'm getting ready to do this class. Who would have thought that's what we would be doing? I certainly did not. Yeah, dishes going away. All right. It is time. It's 1:00 in the afternoon. So we have 6 people in class. Hello, Ella. I was hoping you would show up as well. Well, I'm hoping you all show up. Laura, Liberty, Matthew, David again. Doing dishes as Mr. Yes, I am doing. It's like a secret covert operation. Doing dishes as Mr. Finnegan. I am. Unless that, of course, means something else, which I'm too old to know. Okay. If you are going to watch this later, so if you're doing this as a video recording, you still are supposed to get this to me at a timely fashion. You should have your test out with you right now. I gave you a week to do the test. I'm one of the people watching, so 6 people here out of the whole class to start. These marks do count. So you are very glad that you're here. So this will be exciting. Here are your test answers. So we start with question number 1. I thought I would start with question 1 today. You wish to graph your progress with all your jogging you've been doing. You record your times over the summer for running a 5K. What kind of graph would be best to show your progress? That would, of course, be a broken line graph. We went over that when we did the broken line graphs, that if you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, we use a broken line graph. Give yourself 1 mark for that. I'm going to be showing you how many marks to give yourself. So if you picked broken line graph, put a 1 right next to your answer. Fantismo. That is great stuff. That is question 1, broken line graph. If you don't get all of these, if I go too fast, you can always watch the video again to get your better score. Up next, you had a graph about summer fun that you needed to make. I gave you all the different things. You were to make a lovely graph. It should have looked something like this, but some of you are saying, whoa, wait a minute. That does not look like a 5 out of 5 graph. No, not to me either. Give yourself 1 mark if you did a title. Did you even put a title? That's all you had to do. Put a title. Doesn't matter what it is. You get a mark. Amazing. Next, labels. Right now, we don't have labels on this graph. That's why we need to fix that. The labels aren't just the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 up the side. The labels, you needed to say something that was the number of votes or how many people liked doing it. And across the bottom, what is this? Lake, math, chores, friends. Is this names of books that you've read this summer? No, it's not at all. These are things to do during the summer or activities. That's what's meant by labels. They look like that. 1 mark if you put a title, 1 mark if you did your labels. Next, you look at your graph. Is it neat? Or I don't mean neat like, wow, that's really special. You're neat. No, I mean neat like tidy. Is it organized? Did you use a ruler? Are the bars spaced out enough? Next is accuracy. Do lake and math have the exact same height on the bar? Look at friends got 6 votes and chores got 3. Is your bar that measures 3 half the size as the bar that measures 6, or are they almost the same size? That's where the accuracy comes in, how accurate your graph was drawn. And finally, look at your graph. If you didn't do a bar graph, if you did a pictograph, it is the exact same things. The only difference would be inside the bar that says lake, you should have 8 little pictures of water or something. Inside the bar that has math, it's got like big red hearts because it's your favorite thing to do in the whole world. Something like that. So it's the same whether it's a bar graph or a pictograph. Give yourself the exact same marks. And finally, number 1, with a bullet. Did you wow yourself? Do you look at that graph and say, wow, this should be in a magazine somewhere? If you do, so I know a bunch of you, when I ask you to give me your marks, you're going to tell me perfect papers. I know. I'm sure your graphs would have wowed me as well. Give yourself a mark out of 5 on that graph. Either your bar graph or your pictograph, give yourself a mark out of 5. Up next, we did need to make a circle graph. Your circle graph should have ended up looking something like this. Now, the lake and math, those pies, should be 32%, and they should be the biggest ones. Another way to check, they should be exactly equal. So they should look a bit like that. Did you put a title on your circle graph? Give yourself 1 for the title. The labels are the things written inside the circle graph. So you have lake at 32%. You have math at 32%. Chores, 12%. Friends, 24%. Those are the labels. Next, neatness. Did you use a ruler? Did you trace the circle out with a coffee cup or a CD or something like that? A DVD, a Blu-ray? Is it actually very nice and neat? Accuracy would be all the pie slices being the right size. And again, just like the bars or the pictograph, is your slice for chores exactly half as big as the slice for friends? It should be. And then, is friends just a little bit less than 90 degrees? Remember, a 90-degree angle, a perfect square, that's 25%. So 24% should just be a little less than that. Up next, did you wow me? Did you put color and effort and everything into it? A little bit of effort goes a long way. 5 marks for that. Up next, so far we're at 11 marks. 1 mark for the broken line graph answer, 5 marks and 5 marks for this. Up next, based on the data from question 2, so that's the stuff, if we asked 125 people that same question, how many would say they like doing extra math sheets in the summer? Now, I know some of you put 0, but that's not the right answer. We just had a scientific survey that showed 32% of people like doing math in the summer. So that's, if I ask 125 people, that's 32% of 125. Well, that means You know how to do your fractions, decimals, percents. That's 0.32 times 125, 40 people. Did you get that? That's another 2 marks. 1 mark for showing your work. 1 mark for the answer 40. So if all you have is the number 40 right there, it's just squidged in there, 40. Give yourself 1 mark. Did you show your work? Did you do 0.32 times 125? Then give yourself that mark, the 2 marks there. Up next, if we did a survey, 96 people responded saying that they like going to Cultus Lake. How many people were asked? This was the tough one. This is the hardest question on the test. We found out 96% of people. It's like saying 32. We know 32% of people like going to the lake, but 32% of what? 32% of how many people is 96, because 96 answered right. So we break it down again like we did in the past. That's 0.32 times what? That's a W. That's 96. Divide both sides by 0.32, and you end up with your W being 96 divided by 0.32. 300 people were asked. So you get 2 marks for all that, showing your work and the answer. So once again, if you show your work, if all you have is the answer 300, give yourself 1 mark. If you have some work shown and the 300, then we're good to go. Up next, number 5. Which of the 4 activities in question 2 do you like best? Well, of course, there's no one right answer. Any answer is right. Whichever one of those 4, I'm just giving you a free mark there. 1 mark for putting any of those 4 answers. All right, we then move on to our question 6. Birthday students by month. You had a beautiful graph that looked something like that. You were asked the following questions. In which month were the most students born? You look at the biggest bar, that's in May. Give yourself 1 mark if you said May. How many students were asked in total? My goodness, here's your math. Now you look up January, there were 3 students asked. You look in February, there were 4 students asked. You look in March, there were 2 students. You got to add all these people up. 3 from January, 4 from February, 2 from, it was crazy. You had to read this graph 12 times. No one born in November. So strange. It's been a bad Valentine's Day that year or something. How many students were asked in total? 36 in total. So that's all you got to do for that one. If you got 36, 1 mark. Didn't need to show your work for that one. Some of you just did it in your head. 36 students. Hello, Melanie. Nice to see you. I understand, Gabe, internet problems. You can always rewatch the whole video and get me your mark that way. What percent of students were born in January? This one you needed to show your work. So January had 3 students. There's a total of 36. 3 out of 36. So that sounds like a fraction. 3 out of 36. That works out to a decimal of 0.0833333, which is 8.33%. So 3 marks in total. That's for this whole sheet. 1 mark for number 6, May. 1 mark for number 7, 36. And then the 1 mark for number 8, you should have got 8.33%. And it's all good from there. All right. From there, we are almost done. We turn to our pie graph, which is ironically about pi. A pie graph about pie. It shows here 23% like cherry pie, 36 apple. Coconut cream not doing so well in our. I think banana cream pie would have taken the trophy. So I asked you a few questions here. If you ask 600 people, how many of them would prefer pumpkin pie? You look at pumpkin pie is getting 30% of the vote. So if I'm asking 600 people, it would be 30% of 600 people. Doing your math, that's 0.30 times 600, 180 people. Very good. You've been hired as a caterer. If you wanted to feed 32 people some cherry pie, and each pie has 8 pieces, how many cherry pies should you make? Well, that's a straightforward calculation. We're going to assume everyone eats 1 piece of pie. If you can get 8 pieces out of 1 pie, and you need 32, we would just take the 32 divided by the 8. You got your 4 pies right there. 3 marks for that page as well. 2 marks for question 9. Did you show your work in question 9? That's 1 mark. Then the answer of 180 is 1 mark. Then 32 divided by 8, there's your 4 pies. That's 1 mark. So 3 marks on that page. Finally, a bonus question. Which band sang the 1990 hit Cherry Pie? She's my cherry pie. I could sing it on, but you probably looked it up. Beautiful song. The band was called Warrant. You can give yourself 1 bonus mark if you think you warrant that mark. And now we add up our score. The score is out of 22. You are on a timer. You have 24 hours to tell me your score. Now you're here right now. So all you have to do is add up that score out of 22, send me an email out of 22, and you're done. That's it. The assignment is finished. It has to be done in the next 24 hours. I've given you a week to do this test. Now I'm giving you 24 hours to send me an email. If we can't get a test and get the answer to me in 8 days, we've got a problem. Add up your score out of 22. You got 24 hours to give me that score. Some more big news. There's no class on Friday. It's a Pro D day. And there's no class on Monday. It's Victoria Day. Oh my goodness. I just have one thing to say about that. No classes then for another week. So, hey, Caden, welcome. You can rewatch the video as soon as we're done. No school for a week, but you do have to get that score to me within the next 24 hours. So if it's after 1 o'clock tomorrow, I'm not taking it. Come on, we can do this. I will see you next Wednesday. Rewatch the video if you did not get all of it. Give me your score out of 22 in the next 24 hours. Hope everyone is doing really well. If you just want to send me an email and tell me how you're doing, or ask me how I'm doing, or chat, or whatever you want to do, that's also cool as could be. So take care of yourselves. We will get through this. Promise. Just need you to get your stuff in a timely fashion so I can keep track of 100 students handing in 100 different assignments at 100 different times. Get me this score in the next 24 hours. Until then, look after yourself. Be good to your family. Thank you, and good night from NBC News.